Welcome to this custom-tailored deep dive. We're continuing our ongoing series on cognitive performance and, just the modern mind in general.
Yeah, and we've got a really massive stack of notes and research today.
We do lots of neurobiology papers, behavioral studies, clinical psychology notes, all sitting right here on the desk. And the mission today is to tackle a pretty universal struggle.
Oh, absolutely universal. Everyone deals with this.
Right. We want to completely deconstruct why your focus feels like fundamentally broken. And more importantly, how to get your brain power back based on the actual science.
Because there's a lot of misunderstanding out there about this.
So much. And before we even define the exact problem, I want to immediately set the hook here. There's a huge secret hidden across all of the source material that you really need to hear right now.
Yeah, it's the core premise of everything we're talking about today.
If you are sitting there struggling to focus, you are not broken. And you are definitely not lazy.
No, not at all. And establishing that foundation is so critical for this deep dive. We are entirely stripping away the guilt trip today.
We really have to, yeah.
Because today is purely about content and strategy. We aren't doing dates. We aren't doing times. This is just a timeless look at rescuing your attention span.
I love that.
We're going to explain the physical mechanisms of why your brain feels like a web browser with a memory leak,
Yeah.
and then give you the actual tools to fix it.
Right. So put yourself in this scenario for a second. Think about the last time you sat down to do something truly important.
Oh, I know where this is going.
You had your coffee, you made your pristine to-do list, your intentions were just perfect.
You were ready to go.
Exactly. And then, almost like you blacked out for a minute, you suddenly realize you are 10 minutes deep into a video of a guy building a pizza oven in the jungle.
Right, with the mud and the leaves.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've got 5 browser tabs open, you're mindlessly checking your phone. And the immediate internal narrative is always, what is wrong with me? Why am I so lazy?
Which is completely the wrong question to ask.
Right, because before we can fix our focus, we have to understand what's actually breaking it. It isn't a lack of willpower, is it?
No, it's an absolute excess of input. We are severely overstimulated.
Overstimulated, which I feel like people use that word a lot just as a buzzword.
They do, but when neurobiologists use the term, they're describing a very specific, measurable, physiological state.
Like an actual physical state in the brain.
Exactly. Your brain isn't exhausted from doing nothing. It is exhausted from trying to process absolutely everything at once.
The notifications, the videos, the news.
All of it. The human prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for sustained attention, has a very strict bottleneck.
It can only handle so much at one time.
Right. It can only hold a few pieces of information in working memory. So every single notification, every fast-paced video cut, every message forces your brain to drop what it's holding, process the new thing, and then try to reload the original task.
So wait, every time you glance at a pop-up, you're essentially forcing your brain to, dump its RAM and reboot.
Mechanistically, yes. That is exactly what's happening. And that rapid task switching burns massive amounts of glucose, which is the brain's primary fuel.
Wow, okay.
You're asking your biological hardware to run 50 high-demand applications on 2% battery, which is why the distinction between being lazy and being drained is so critical here.
Okay, let's unpack this, because lazy implies a personal failure. It feels like you have the energy, but you just refuse to use it.
Right, it's a moral judgment.
Yeah, exactly. But being drained means you're starting the day with an empty tank. You wake up and your brain already feels like heavy, wet laundry.
That is a very accurate description of cognitive fatigue.
And it's like trying to focus right now is like trying to hear someone whisper to you in the middle of a packed football stadium.
Yes, the noise is just too loud. And when we try to force complex work in that state, the brain basically goes on strike. It looks for the easiest possible input.
Which introduces that scientific concept from the behavioral studies, hedonic adaptation.
Right. What's fascinating here is how hedonic adaptation works on a chemical level. It's the process by which your brain adjusts its baseline for what it considers rewarding.
Okay, so it gets used to a certain level of stimulation.
Exactly. We all have a baseline level of dopamine. When you flood your nervous system with high-speed digital noise like scrolling through hundreds of heavy, emotional short videos, you're blasting your dopamine receptors.
You're giving it way too much too fast.
Right. So to protect itself, the brain actually downregulates those receptors. It becomes numb to constant pleasure and noise.
It essentially turns down the volume on its own sensitivity.
Yes, exactly.
It's like walking out of a pitch-black movie theater directly into the bright midday sun.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Your pupils physically contract, right, to restrict the light. You can't see the normal world because your hardware is protecting itself from the extreme glare.
That is exactly what your brain is doing. It's contracting its dopamine pupils.
So suddenly, normal, quiet tasks like reading a report or studying just fail to register.
Right, they feel incredibly boring because they don't provide enough dopamine to clear that new artificially high threshold.
But wait, let me push back on this a little bit, because the common wisdom is that when we are tired from work, we need a break. So we sit on the couch and we scroll.
Right, we treat it as rest.
Yeah, we think scrolling is the rest phase. It's like eating fake sugar. It fools your tongue, but your body is still starving for real nourishment. What is actually happening biologically?
Well, it feels like relaxing because you aren't moving your physical body. But cognitively, you're putting your brain into a state of chronic reaction mode.
Reaction mode.
Yeah, your amygdala and your limbic system, the primitive emotional centers are constantly firing. You're reacting to a funny video, then an enraging news headline, then a tragic story.
All within like 30 seconds.
Exactly. You are keeping your nervous system in a state of high physiological arousal. It's at an overload. So by the time you return to your desk to do one small task, it feels overwhelmingly heavy.
Because your cognitive fuel was just squandered on artificial noise.
Exactly. You spent all your energy reacting instead of resting.
Okay, so if the brain is easily overwhelmed by this constant input, how are we actually supposed to get work done?
Well, the answer lies in working with our biology, not against it. We have to look at the 90-minute focus rule.
Right, because human beings aren't designed to operate like software just running continuously.
No, we operate in ultradian rhythms. The human brain operates best in short focus cycles of around 90 minutes.
So we have phases of high alertness and lower alertness throughout the day.
Yes, during high focus, your brain generates fast beta waves. But as you focus, you build up a neurochemical called adenosine.
Adenosine, right. That's the chemical that creates sleep pressure, doesn't it?
It is. It physically inhibits neural activity. So after about 90 minutes of hard focus, that adenosine buildup starts degrading your clarity.
So your brain literally requires a short break to reset.
Exactly. It needs to shift into slower alpha waves to clear out that chemical waste. You have to step away, walk, stretch, get some water.
So what does this all mean for the modern workplace? Because the standard advice is just to power through.
Which is incredibly dangerous.
Right. It's like driving a car at maximum speed nonstop. Eventually, the engine is just going to say, nope, and die.
Or to use another metaphor, powering through is like trying to inhale for 4 hours straight.
Oh, man. You can't just keep taking in oxygen. You have to exhale to clear the carbon dioxide.
Exactly. If you don't exhale, you pass out. Ignoring your body's natural limits just leads to burnout and sloppy work.
But what about coffee? Doesn't a massive cup of coffee fix the adenosine buildup so you can keep going?
No, actually. Caffeine just acts as a blocker. It fits into the adenosine receptor so you don't feel the fatigue, but the chemical waste is still building up in the background.
Wow, so you're just masking the problem.
Right. Rest is not a waste of time. Rest is a strategic tool. It's the cognitive exhale.
Taking a 15-minute break doesn't lose time, it creates time.
Exactly, because it ensures your next 90 minutes are actually productive, rather than just a foggy blur where you stare at a screen.
Okay, that makes total sense. But setting a 90-minute timer is completely useless if your phone is buzzing every 3 seconds.
Oh, absolutely. The timer won't save you if you're constantly interrupted.
Right, to actually achieve that focus, we have to clear the mental clutter. Which brings us to a major strategy in the research, digital fasting.
Yes, digital fasting or a digital detox. It's about intentionally creating blocks of time with no phone, no social media, and 0 notifications.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because it's not just about hiding the phone, it's about the first 30 minutes rule.
That rule is so critical, keeping your phone away for the first half hour of the day.
Right, to let the brain wake up before notifications hijack it. It's like locking the door when a thief is outside. You don't necessarily hate the thief, your phone, but you have to protect your house, which is your focus.
That's a perfect way to put it, because if you grab your phone immediately, you trigger a dopamine crash.
Wait, how does looking at your phone cause a crash?
Because every ping, every video gives you a tiny hit of unearned dopamine. It makes the brain restless. It's constantly looking for the next hit, which leads to scattered energy.
And it activates that primitive part of the brain right when you wake up, right?
Yes, the limbic system.
Yeah.
You plunge straight into stress instead of letting your prefrontal cortex gently warm up.
But let me ask you this. Is it really realistic to tell someone today to just ignore their phone? I mean, what about the anxiety of missing an important email?
This raises an important question, and the research does address it. The anxiety you feel is actually a withdrawal symptom.
Wow, really?
Yes, but it's about balance, not perfection. You don't have to throw your phone in a river. If an hour is too much, start with 15 minutes.
It's about giving the prefrontal cortex a quiet space to warm up without stress.
Exactly. You're effectively rewiring the brain for deep focus rather than shallow distraction.
Okay, so if we are actively putting our phones away and stepping back from all this digital overstimulation, what exactly should we do with that reclaimed time?
Well, you need a replacement behavior because just staring at the wall won't work.
Right, you'll just go crawling back to the smartphone. Which leads us to the ultimate cure for mental fatigue. We need to talk about brain rot.
Brain rot. It's a slang term, but it is highly clinically relevant.
It really describes that heavy, dull feeling your brain gets after consuming too much low-quality content like doom scrolling.
Yes. And we have to contrast that escapism where you're just numbing out with random videos with actual healthy relaxation.
Which means active offline hobbies.
Exactly. Gardening, painting, reading a physical book, playing music.
Escapism fractures your attention, but real hobbies actually stretch your attention span, right?
They do. They allow you to lose yourself in an activity.
Yeah.
You enter a state of flow, which results in brain growth rather than brain rot.
It's like reading a book is like a slow meal you cook at home. It takes effort, but it nourishes you.
And doom scrolling is like fast food. It spikes your dopamine, but there's no real substance.
I want to ask you, the listener, a direct question right now. When was the last time you did something offline for 30 minutes and actually enjoyed it?
That's a tough question for a lot of people to answer.
It is. Because hobbies aren't just cute pastimes. They literally breathe life into your day. They rebuild your attention span.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about identity. Replacing the identity of a couch potato or passive consumer with that of a creator or an active participant.
Oh, that's powerful.
It changes your internal narrative. It proves to your brain that you can engage deeply with the world without needing a screen.
You actually prove it to yourself through physical action.
Exactly.
Well, let's summarize what we've covered in this deep dive because this is huge. If you are listening to this, remember, your lack of focus isn't a character flaw.
It is not laziness.
It's overstimulation. But by adopting the 90-minute focus rule, working with your biology,
Taking real breaks.
right, taking real breaks, implementing small digital fasts, especially in the morning, and engaging in real offline hobbies, you can cure that brain rot.
You can absolutely reclaim your attention.
Before we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts for everyone?
I do, actually. Something provocative for you to mull over. Your smartphone gives you a weekly screen time report,
Yeah.
right?
Detailing exactly how many hours you spent in the digital world, usually terrifying to look at.
Very terrifying. But what if you started keeping a mental lifetime report?
A lifetime report.
Yeah. If you measured your week by the hours spent lost in a real-world hobby or deep work or just offline joy, what would that report card look like right now?
Wow. If we measured our success by offline joy instead of just trying to lower our screen time,
Exactly. It completely changes the goal.
that is incredible. A lifetime report card. Well, the next time you find yourself staring blankly at a screen, completely drained, just remember the underlying biology. You have the power to close those tabs, step away, and get your focus back. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.